And what really shifted for me was like when I saw that they were making, like on some days $10,000 a day, and this is $10,000 Australian, in a third world country, and I was like, holy crap, that is a lot of money. And I was thinking to myself, like, that's what I have to work, 40 hours a week, 5 days a week for 10 weeks to make.
Let's go.
It's actually adding Phuong in now, so super quick, which is awesome.
Okay.
Phuong, hey man,
Ross,
how are
how's
you?
it going, man? Good, man. Yeah, I figured it out.
Awesome. So I definitely say this is probably the quickest so far. So you've done well. So Renee, if you're watching, you've now come up as number 2. So thank you so much. So everyone that's tuning in at home, Phuong Huynh, he's a good friend of mine. Basically, he went from a engineer to now e-commerce expert. He's got his own business. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from him. So if you're on the replay, we'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Team R, letter R for replay, just so we know that you've got some value from this later on. And if you've got any live questions for us in regards to e-com, please ask, because Phuong is here to help. So, absolutely jump on. We usually get a lot of live questions during the show, which is fantastic. For such a group of, say, 620 people, everyone's super engaged. So thank you so much for investing your time with us here today. So Phuong, thank you so much for jumping on with us. It's great to have you on the chat, man. I'm absolutely looking forward to this. So thank you so much.
No worries, man. I was actually pretty excited about this. So, let's get into it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So let's start off with your story. So for everyone at home, all the listeners from the group here and the podcast, let's start off with humble beginnings. How did it all become?
Well, I won't bore everyone, but okay. So I'll be pretty brief about it. Like, look, I sort of grew up in a traditional Vietnamese Asian family, and in those sorts of families, unless you become, like a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer, you're a failure. Like, otherwise, you're a failure. So, I did something pretty silly. I did engineering because I wanted to make my family and my parents proud of me. Even though I did enjoy, engineering, and I was, I was committed to it. I was devoted to it. I got quite good. I got quite good grades and everything. I won a scholarship, and I was, pretty much set up to do a PhD if I really wanted to as well. And, but then, like, looking back, I never got a good night's sleep, I never slept well. I had a lot of trouble going to sleep. And, to be frank about it, I wasn't happy. I was miserable. And I couldn't work out why, And then, I sort of cleared my 4-year degree, got honours, and I really, really struggled, finding a job, because there was that recession in 2008, I think it was, where it really just, shut down a whole bunch of stuff. And, like, companies didn't really want to take on, new talent, because, they have to invest in you, they have to build you up, and they actually lose money at the start, because they have to train you and everything.
They do.
So,
of course, yeah.
Yeah. So what I did was I actually went and worked with, for my brother-in-law for a while, and I spent too much time there, and then during that time I was thinking, is this really what I want? I wasn't happy at all. I'm happier now that I'm making money, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do. The same with everyone. I was a 22, 23-year-old that always walked within the lines and everything, but I just had no clue about anything. When you sort of realize that you don't know anything, you feel like, oh my God, I don't even know what I want. You start feeling like crap. I went through a bit of depression for a while. And, for me, what made the most sense was to challenge myself. So what I did was I went and, applied for a job in the Air Force as an officer. So I went through that, and actually the first time I got rejected pretty horribly, because the psychological interview, the psychologist actually picked up that I've got a lot of, anxiety, depression, all that sort of stuff. And he's like,
fair enough. Yep.
And he's like, look, to be an officer, you have to be mentally strong and all that sort of stuff, which is fair enough. And, that delayed me for like a year. So I had to go sort that out, go see a psychologist and everything. And then, fast forward, I actually reapplied, went through that again, and then the second time I got rejected by a warrant officer that said that, look, your personality is not suited for, for the Defence Force. And I was really upset. But looking back now, I was actually really grateful for it, because even though it would have been a great opportunity, I'm not saying anything bad about the Defence Force. If you're, if you're interested in that, all to that. But the only thing is, you have to be committed to it, and in a way you're trapped to it.
Yeah.
You're in a way you're sort of trapped to it. So if they invest 4 years into you, you have to give 4 years back. So essentially, you have to be in service for 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years. Yeah, exactly.
My thinking was, if I want to do something, if I get married and my wife has a child or something, I can't say no. I can't spend time with my family, especially if I get deployed. Let's just say they send me to, Iraq or something. There's no, I don't really want to do this. You sort of sign a contract that you're pretty much going to go wherever they need you, so
it's a big commitment. Yeah, absolutely.
It is
if you're investing 4 years, being trained, you then have to, as you said, give another 4 years back. So, it's fantastic to serve, and so much respect for those that do serve and protect us. But in regards to, the personality traits of it, I'm the same, in regards to, I've got so much respect for those that do actually serve, their country, but I'm not good in a structured learning environment. And that's just something that I've basically just critiqued myself, knowing full well that, all right, well, I'm a uni dropout, because as much as I would buy textbooks from a secondhand bookstore and just sit there and read them like a book, when it came to structured learning, it just wasn't for me. So I completely get where you're at, man, where your head was at and where it is. And it's good to be able to audit yourself in that regard and know. So it's, it's fantastic that they had said no, because now you've been able to do exactly that, where you realize, this is something that I didn't want to do in the first place. It was more just looking for an answer. By saying no to an answer that obviously wasn't right for you, it's giving you that opportunity to now look for the right answers, which is great.
Yeah, definitely, man. 100%. So I'll fast forward a little bit. After getting rejected and feeling really depressed and everything, you could say I gave up on that dream. You could say that I gave up my degree and everything, all my studies. And, I went and got a job at a Coles distribution center. It actually paid quite well. The rate at the moment is, for casuals is $34, $35. So, which is about 65 to 70,000 a year. And that's actually more than what you would get paid as a, what do you call it? Entry engineer, but, as you get, as you move through the ranks as an engineer, you will get paid more. But, in actual reality, when I was working for my brother-in-law, I actually wanted to start my own business, but it was out of fear that I didn't do it. And what's actually really funny is, one of my options that I looked at was actually Shopify. And I was thinking to myself, what's e-commerce? And I was like, I don't know anything about this. I'm not, I'm not willing, and I'm too scared to actually put any money into this. So, it wasn't until after I got married that I was exposed to a lot of, entrepreneurship. My in-laws, my father-in-law, he's got his own sort of mechanic business. He fixes scooters and everything. And, the sister-in-law, she sells jewelry, and she's really helped us in a lot of ways. And what really shifted for me was when I saw that they were making, on some days $10,000 a day, and this is $10,000 Australian, in a third world country, and I was like, holy crap, that is a lot of money. And I was thinking to myself, that's what I have to work, 40 hours a week, 5 days a week for 10 weeks to make. They made that in one day. And, that's not the only money that they made. They made money from trading gold and everything, because they've got a lot of, insider knowledge and everything.
Investments as well.
And, that made me really curious. That made me extremely curious. And I started looking into it. So I started looking a lot deeper. I started looking into affiliate marketing, SEO, and I remember talking to you about it a while ago as well, when you were actually trying to, start up an SEO firm. And, what's actually really funny is, okay, so this is something that's actually really funny about me. The best things in my life, they just happen. You know, like it's
Yep.
you know like my marriage, my business, my health, all that sort of thing. Like, you know, the best things in my life, they just happen. And you know what I mean by that is like with my partner, I just decided, like, you know, I'm going to get engaged and just wing it, which sounds really stupid.
Yeah. Cool.
But you know,
Hey man, if you're in the right place, it's just happened
yeah,
organically, then
yeah.
yeah, that's it.
But
Like, go for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like I don't do that with everything. You know, like I have something. I have really powerful intuition, a really powerful instinct.
Yep.
So it just felt right. You know, like I just had to ask myself, you know, do I want to spend do I want to spend the rest of my life with this person? And I was like, yeah, I actually do. And
Yeah.
you know, like it turned out to be awesome. Like, you know, my wife has changed me in so many ways, and you know, I love her so much and everything. But back on the business, like I actually started my business. I actually went, you know, it was the 26th of December last year. Actually, not last year, 2016. Yep. We're in 2018 now. Yep. And I was like, you know what? I've been thinking about this. I've been scared about it. I've procrastinated about it for years. I wanted to start a business for like 6 years now. And, you know, if I don't do this now, it's never going to happen. So what I did was I jumped on ASIC, the business website.
Yeah, the trading site.
Yeah. Yep. And I was like, I'm just going to register this. I'm just going to register a business name, register a company, and then go from there. So, you know, I forked out the $700 to register and, you know, buy a domain and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, that's what really shifted for me. Like, I finally made a decision. So I'm really, really bad at making decisions. Like, actually, no, I was really bad. I should correct myself. I'm actually really, really bad with I was really, really bad with making decisions. It's like, and especially with big decisions as well. It's like, you know, starting a business and all that sort of stuff. It's very, very scary. But after I commit and actually decide to do it, you know, because I'm committed, I just make it work. So, you know, like what I've realized now is if I want to do something, I have to do it right away. You know, if I want to, like say, for example, if I want to test 3 new products in the store that I'm starting up, I have to do it right now. Otherwise, it's going to sink in. It's going to be like, you know, I'd rather watch YouTube videos, or you know, I need to go for a walk. I need to, you know, do this. I need to do the dishes. I need to clean the house. You know, like,
just put it off.
Yeah. And then the excuses will start coming in, and you know, like that for me is really powerful because one, it practices a really good habit of actually taking action and not, you know, overthinking, not procrastinating. But then, you know, it also improves, you know, your decision-making skills as well. You know, like if you sort of rely a lot more on intuition versus, you know, like analyzing. So,
yeah,
you know, like
just forcing yourself to kind of jump in that deep end just really makes a big difference. Yeah, because over time, that learned behavior you have is going to shift and change. So then, you know, you're not going to procrastinate because of excuses, and it's not, I'm now getting a bit worried about this next step I'm going to take. It's just, fuck it, I'm just going to jump in.
Yeah, exactly.
And then from there, you just, just go forward with it. Yeah. And if it fails, you're failing forward. So, you know, there's no real loss there. It's a lesson learned.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, there's a question I'll answer in a minute, but I want to just go over this quickly.
Yeah, with Manon, your question there, mate. So it's quite long, so we can't see the full question there. So
I can see it.
That you're a recent graduate, you can see the full question?
Yeah, I can see the full question. Yeah. So I'll answer it in a minute.
Okay, no, cool. We'll get to that, madam. So thanks for tuning in.
Because I'm on my iPad, so it shows the whole thing.
Oh, even better. Okay, I'm on my phone, so it's this big.
Yeah. So, you know, what I've really been focusing on. So, like, what I did over Christmas, New Year's was deconstructed myself. You know, I broke down everything about myself, everything about my life, which sounds sort of like, you know, Frankenstein sort of style. But, you know, I've got so many interests, so many things that I like to do, so many things that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of examples. I'm interested in golf, in tennis, in basketball, in badminton, in table tennis, in dancing. You know, like my music collection is like classical music, you know, binaural beats, you know, hip hop, techno. You know, like I've got music from, you know, I've got Vietnamese music, I've got Chinese music, I've got Japanese music, Korean music, and you know, like for me, I just felt like a jack of all trades. And what I realized was I can't be a jack of all trades if I want to be, if I want to be wildly successful, and experience the growth that I want. Because what a lot of thought leaders say is like, become a master in one thing, like become world class in one thing. And I was trying to find my one thing. And, I think I've found it. So like, in my business, I was always trying to work out, okay, like what's my edge? Okay. So, so I haven't had my business for that long. I'm not, like I wasn't one of those guys that had, like side hustles throughout school. I was actually a bit of a nerd. All I focused on was studying and doing all that sort of stuff. And I always walked in between the lines. So, what I've decided is like, okay, so my edge is I've got an engineering background. So I'm very systems focused. I'm very big picture focused. And I've got a very, very fine level of detail. I've got excellent, attention to detail. So, putting it all together, I also like automation. So, what I've decided to become an expert in is, sales automation and, business growth. Yep. So, my idol was actually Jay Abraham, and he's seriously like the coolest guy ever. He's worked in like over 400 industries. He's generated close to $10 billion for his clients. And, he's actually the reason why I jumped into this and actually sort of went down this path, because, for me, I think that it's really, really powerful to be able to come into a business and say to them, like, do you want to double your business or 10 times your business in the next 6 months or 12 months? And the answer is always going to be yes. And
of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really, really powerful thing that you'll be able to do. So, like there are people that are passionate about design, there are people that are passionate about, coding, all that sort of stuff. But what I think is the most important in business is sales, money. So if
you're a marketer first, more than anything.
Yeah, but like what I mean is like if a business doesn't make sales, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't grow. So how do you actually grow a business? Like you increase the amount of money that's coming in, and then you reinvest it accordingly, and you can either buy more inventory, hire more people, put more into advertising, reach more people. And what I realized is like sales is the fuel that actually, like sales, money, cash flow is what fuels growth. So, like if I'm going to become an expert in anything, if I'm going to become a thought leader in anything, it's going to be, how to grow businesses in extremely short amounts of time, without sacrificing the fundamentals, without, building a crappy business. How can you build a sustainable business in like 12 months? How can you take a business from 0 to 10 million in 12 months, or 100 million in 3 years, like ClickFunnels? Like absolutely astounding. Like, that's insane. Like, 0 to 100 million, in 3 years. Have you seen their story? It's absolutely insane what they're able to achieve. So, and sort of rambling a little bit, but I also decided that if I'm going to spend 16 hours a day, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life mastering something, doing something, and repeating something and learning something, it better be something that I want to be doing.
Exactly.
And it better be something that I'm excited about, and I'm very, very excited about. Like removing inefficiencies, optimizing. And I've done it for my own business as well, and I'll explain it in a minute. But I'll answer these questions. Hey, Murray, how's it going, man? So, the question is like, okay, let me just read it. Okay, cool. So, okay, so I'm not sure what you're actually asking, but if I'll sort of I'll have a rough guess. So, like I get the feeling that you're probably good at what you do. You've got an engineering degree and everything, but you feel that you don't actually have that much interest in the technical side of things. So I was pretty much the same. Like I didn't really like it that much as well. I was more focused on like, systems and optimization and processes and all that sort of stuff. Like, the actual business side of things was what I was interested in. So, like we do have an edge. Like if you've got an engineering degree, we do have an edge on a lot of people. And in the sense that we're great problem solvers, and business is all about solving problems. So, you know, and like if I can give anyone any sort of advice, it's, you know, be honest with yourself, you know, like don't worry about the money, don't worry about anything, you know, if you're not happy, seriously get the hell out of whatever you're doing, you know, change the situation. Because, you know, like, to be perfectly honest with you, in my job, I was happy. You know, if I just made that income for the rest of my life, I would have been pretty happy. If I was focused, I could have rose up the corporate ladder and, you know, become like a DC manager or, you know, or a state manager or something. And, you know, I would have made a fair bit of money and everything. But the biggest problem that, you know, for me was I felt trapped, you know, because I knew that I wasn't in control. And, you know, if I don't have control, I don't, you know, I can't control my income, I can't control my life. So, you know, like no amount of money without control is going to satisfy me. So that's why, you know, that's why I went down the path of business. That's why I was, you know, self-funding my business for a while, and I was struggling for quite a while, for about 7 months before my business made any sort of money. So, you know, like that's the best advice that I can give anyone. Like, just be honest with yourself, like, you know, with your work, with your health, with your business, with your relationships. So, you know, like this is a bit off topic, but for example, if you are unhappy in a relationship and you know the person that you're with is toxic or not suited for you, seriously, like the best thing you can do is leave, you know, and on good terms if you can. But
absolutely,
you know, like, look, I don't believe in putting yourself through any sort of pain that you don't need to. Like, if you're not happy, seriously, just remove yourself from that situation, from that environment, or, you know, from that scenario or whatever. Because, you know, I think that the most important thing in life is be happy. You know, like, because I've gone through, you know, 2 serious stages of depression, and I understand how valuable and how meaningful it is to be happy. So, you know, like, if you're not happy, change it, because happiness is a choice. So, you know, like, for example, right now, you know, I've got a lot of business expenses. I've got a trip to Vietnam for Chinese New Year and everything. And I could think about it as a lot of work. I could think about it as, oh my God, it's shit. It's a lot of work. You know, I've got to, you know, buy gifts for all the people. And I've got to, you know, like, stay up late and you know, work on my businesses and everything. But, you know, I've decided to be happy. Like, you know, when, like, say, when I have my lunch, you know, I'll look at the, you know, my wedding photos, my engagement photos, and, you know, that reminds me, like, why I'm doing this. You know, like, I'm doing it for my partner, for our happiness, and, you know, it's a choice that I made. Like, I'm very happy, you know, to be able to, like, do these amazing things. I'm able to, you know, work with some amazing people, be mentored by amazing people, you know, surround myself with people like you and your community, and, you know, the online community. And, you know, like, I can look at it as a glass that's half full or a glass that's half empty. So, you know, like, it's a lot. And look, be kind to yourself, you know, be kind to yourself, like, you know, rather than saying to yourself, you know, negative things, because whatever you feed to your subconscious, it's going to grow. So if you say to yourself, I'm useless, I'm stupid, I'm lazy, you know, like, guess how you're going to feel? You're going to feel like crap, you know?
Yeah, it's going to sink in. Yeah, and over time you will. Absolutely.
Yeah. So what I've found is, if you tell yourself something enough, you will start believing it. So I have sort of like a morning ritual where I sort of go through and I have affirmations, and it's very similar to what, you know, Tony Robbins and a lot of the thought leaders do, because, you know, how you start your day is how your day is going to be. So you want to start it strong. And, you know, I say stuff like, I'm limitless, I'm unstoppable, invincible, you know, there's nothing that I can't do, anything that I haven't done. And, you know, like, when you tell yourself those things, you know, eventually you're going to believe it, you know, and your mindset will completely shift, you know, like, rather than looking at a problem and going, you know, like, a problem, you know, you're like, well, okay, cool, you know, how can I solve this problem? And that's what I did yesterday. So I had a client that was pretty upset. You know, like, there wasn't really that much contact over Christmas and New Year's. I just assumed that everyone was sort of like, you know, going through the holiday season and everything. And, you know, I was still running my webinars and everything, but no one rocked up. So I just assumed that, you know, everyone was just, you know, enjoying their time off or whatever. So the most important thing about business, about life as well, never assume, because I had a client that didn't pay me. And I called him, and I actually called him up, and he's actually very upset. And he's like, look, I expect more, like more help and guidance from you. And, I could have ran away from that. I could have said to myself, I don't want to deal with this. I'll go do something else that's easier and just walk away from the resistance, from the problem. But what I did was I just jumped on. I was like, so what's the problem? Like, what do you want? What do you want from me? Do you want me to give you an hour of my time a week, or 10 minutes of my time a week? Like, what do you actually want? Because I'm here to help people. I'm here to help them get the best results that they can. It's with my coaching, and it worked out really well. We sort of decided that he's gonna test more products and just increase his chances of success by increasing the numbers. So, like if I can give anyone any sort of advice, is learn to be a master problem solver. Don't avoid problems. Like the best way to approach a problem is to face it and go through it. So, and what you'll find is that the better you get at solving problems, the further you're going to go business. If you've dealt with just about every problem in your business, for me, it's dealing with, Facebook shutting down my ad accounts. It's PayPal shutting down, my payment methods and not giving my money. It's clients not paying me. It's clients saying, screw you, Phuong. Your program's stupid. It doesn't get results and stuff like that. But and the better I get at actually solving these problems and actually connecting with my clients and actually, helping them, I grow as a person. And things seem less scary. If I gave you, if you get chased by a dog, you're terrified because you don't know what that dog's going to do for you, and what that dog's going to do to you. But if I tell you that dog's got no teeth, it can't run that fast, it's actually really nice. It'll probably just lick you. Your fear goes away. So it's all about understanding and actually knowing how to deal with certain things. So I'm not scared about anything.
Hey, Eden, thanks for tuning in, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's it.
How's it going, man? Yeah, so, yeah, I guess the quick answer, the quick sort of tip is deal with your problems. Your problems don't go away when you go have a nap or when you hide or when you go out. Your problems don't disappear. They actually, most of the time, they get worse, and sometimes they can get, a lot worse. So deal with your problems. Yeah. So with the
absolutely, no, I completely agree.
Yeah. So with the question how am I going to expand my business? So at the moment I'm rebuilding my I guess my sales process, my marketing process, and just looking at where I lose the lead, where the leads fall off, because that was the biggest problem. One of my biggest problems I was having was booking a call in, like a strategy call or whatever, and people don't rock up.
Yep.
For example. Yeah. And then, if someone says they'll call me back or fail to close them and there's no follow-up, there's nothing to sort of, maintain that relationship. So, I was really looking at, where are the key points where people sort of disappear and I lose them, entirely because, if you fail to convert someone, you can keep building that relationship and get that sale. So that's why follow-up is so important and that's why thought leaders say, the fortune's in the follow-up. So that's what I'm focusing on at the moment, and that's how I'm going to expand my business. So, there's a lot, so there's a lot of ways to expand your business, that you could get, you could just reach more people and generate more leads. But in actual reality, it's just increasing your output. If you want to do twice as many sales, you probably need twice as many leads, for example, or you would need to work out how to convert those leads better. You either convert more, or you sort of do more, I guess, generate more leads, or have more sales calls, have more people move through your sales process. And that's how you expand your business. So you can go from 10,000, 20,000 a month, for example. So that, that's how you would expand your business.
Yeah, that's good. So everyone that's tuning in at home, thank you so much for investing your time with us here today. So if you're on the replay, we'd love to hear from you. Hashtag Team R, letter R for replay, just so we know you're getting value from this, just so we continue on with the podcast. So Phuong Huynh is here with us today. He's gone from an engineer to an e-commerce master. So he's sharing some valuable insights. So yeah, Phuong, thank you so much for being on the show with us. And yeah, he's been great in answering some live questions here. So Phuong, in regards to Mario as well, thanks guys. Yeah, Mario, thanks for tuning in. So Phuong, yeah, that was a fantastic, response there to that question. So you basically started, you went down a path that you weren't really, it wasn't right for you. It was a path that your parents had set for you, and then kind of through trial and error, you figured out what's right for you. So, we've just touched base on what you're going to be doing in regards to expanding your business. But, business aside, what do you think is the next big step? Well, I'd love to really see. As you said, engineers are all about the big picture. So I'd love to hear what's coming in next for you. What's the next in store?
For myself. Okay, so I'll explain my sales process, and then I'll explain what I'm actually going to do, because that's what I'm focusing on. So
Beautiful.
my sales process for my coaching business is so I have a lead magnet. So I've got a lead magnet, and that attracts leads, and then I get a whole bunch of phone numbers, and then I put those people through like a 3-stage sales process, where I have a screening call, and then I've got a warm trigger session. It's like a strategy call, and then I have the close, the sales call, like the actual pitch call. So what I'm actually going to do is keep going with that for a while, because it will help me sort of fund my business. But what I'm actually going to do is completely automate everything up until the close, because that's the only thing that's going to be different. Because, I was looking at it and I was thinking, okay, so how much of this do I actually need to do, individually for everyone? And the answer is probably about 5% of it, 1% of it, a very, very small amount of it, and I'll explain why, because, during my booking call, during my screening call, I asked a bunch of questions, how much experience have you had with e-commerce? How much sales have you done? How long have you been doing it for? Why do you want to do it? And, the really simple way to actually automate that is to create a video, stating, okay, so, you probably download the resource because you're this kind of person. And, I've got a great opportunity for you guys, where I'll sit down and actually create a custom marketing plan for you guys to, reach your goals. If they want to, do $100,000 in sales in the next 12 months, I can sit down with them and, explain to them okay, cool. So this is your skill set. This is what you want to achieve. So this is what you need to do. So that's what I offer for free, to the right people. And that's how I would offer, that's how I would actually automate that with a video, because, I say the same thing in just about every call anyway. So to actually filter people out, I can just say, look, this is for people that, have already started, but maybe struggling, it doesn't really, you would ideally be generating, less than 7 figures. I don't have any experience with helping, businesses at large yet. So, and then, and
that's good. You got to be authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I just put out, the specifications that I think that my ideal client would have, stuff like you have to be willing to advertise, you have to be coachable, you have to be able to follow instructions. That's how I would automate, most of my processes with videos, with follow-up. I'm getting really deep into messenger marketing because the open rates are insane, and it's still quite young. But I don't think a lot of people realize that Facebook is putting a lot of money into Messenger, because that's what they're predicting, and that's what they're going to facilitate for. So, they're going to make it so, they're going to make it so you can accept payments through Messenger. I think you already can, maybe it's in beta.
You can now. Yeah, you can. So with everyone watching at home though, just at this stage, be wary of that, because if you pay someone through Messenger, there's no real safety nets there, so it's very easy to lose that money. So it's still in its infancy stage, so absolutely over time it will get much better. But yeah, just keep wary of sending payments through Messenger at this stage. Because say like with PayPal, it's structured for the customer. So, if there's any issues or qualms, the customer can essentially just get their money back. So from a business perspective, I'm not a huge fan of PayPal in that regard, because it's very easy for a customer to say, oh, I haven't received a service, even though you've got, email evidence showing that they've said, oh, great, thanks for the service. So, Stripe and things like that is fantastic at this stage. But yeah, Messenger is definitely going to be a much bigger thing, because if you look at Instagram with the messaging, the open rates are massive. They're in the 90%.
Yeah,
or
sometimes
90
up to
percentile.
up to 100%. It's absolutely
Up
insane.
to 100, yeah, which is
Insane.
huge. So look at email marketing, like the difference between email marketing, and we'll always have email marketing. Some people, they predict that email marketing is going to get dissolved, and it's not the case. You need an email to start a Facebook account, and you need an email to start an Instagram account. So I don't think it'd ever be a case of we'll lose email. But certainly in regards to Facebook Messenger and Instagram Messenger, they're in such an infancy, and the open rates are so massive that there's huge chance for, growth and development there. So yeah, absolutely. So if you can get into chatbots, that's in its infancy as well. So I think that's going to be a really big next step that Facebook is really investing in. So Phuong, I definitely think you're on the right track there.
Yeah. 100%, man. So I'm not sure if Manon is actually still on, but I'll answer the international sort of marketing question. So, I think you really need to focus on what you're interested in. So I'm very interested in systems. I'm very interested in processes, and I really, really enjoy optimization, because it's what I do in my personal life. I look for opportunities to cut out silly things that I don't have to do. That's why I organize direct debit for everything, because I don't have to go and pay bills, and it just saves me a bunch of time. So, what I would suggest is work out what you're actually interested in. Are you interested in social media marketing? Are you interested in LinkedIn marketing? Really focus on one thing and get really good at one thing, because, being a generalist, you can't, you won't get rewarded as well. So what I mean by that is, if I was a business coach, if I was a general business coach, the amount of value that I can actually give to someone, and the what do you call it, the I guess compensation that I could demand would be quite low, unless I was like someone like Jay Abraham that's got 50 years experience, and the reason for that is you can't be an expert in a sort of area as big as business. Business, there's online, offline, there's all kinds of different industries. So if you and that's why specialists get paid so well, because they're so focused on one thing. They've
niched down.
So they've really niched down, so they can say, look, I'm the best at X, so I'm the best person to help you. And that's why some people can charge $10,000 a month, for consulting or coaching, and that's because they do a small segment of things every day. So they're extremely good at it, and so they can help a particular business in an extremely short amount of time. So for example, the Facebook marketing, the Facebook marketing agencies, all they do is Facebook. Facebook is a very sort of very large form of traffic. It's a very big platform. So, if you, let's just say you were a Facebook marketing expert, and you were able to sort of generate $100,000 per month for your clients. You can quite easily demand $10,000 a month for that sort of service. And
absolutely,
and people like working with experts. No one likes working with someone that's a generalist. That's a jack of all trades, that knows everything. That knows Instagram, that knows Facebook, that knows Twitter, LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. They want to go to the experts. They want to go to the Facebook expert if they want to grow on Facebook. They want to go to the Instagram experts if they want to grow on Instagram. So I guess in short, work out what you want, work out what you're actually interested in. Be honest with yourself, and really focus on one thing at the start. You can go into different areas. You can be a serial entrepreneur. You can start 10 different businesses, but you know, in order to sort of have any sort of like significant success, and especially in a short amount of time, and especially as a beginner, you need to focus on one thing. Like you need to focus on one thing, get really, really good at that one thing, and do really well. And you know, once that particular business is making you a significant amount of money, you can use it to fund other businesses. So
exactly, yeah.
You know, like, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The
Yeah.
best advice I ever received was, well, it was, they were leading on from that. They said the average millionaire has 7 streams of revenue, and some advice that they gave, which I thought was fantastic, was if you are going to, you know, branch out, at least be making, you know, 10K a month in one particular business. You've really niched down and grown that, and then from there you can then use that to then reinvest in a second stream of income and a third, and grow it that way. So that way you're not, you know, always out of pocket, you know, doing that. So yeah, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Because look, you know, when you start a business, when you first start a business, thanks a minute. Like when you first start a business, you'll have to fund it. Like, you know, businesses don't just start making money right away unless you're very,
Exactly.
unless you're very, very good at what you're doing, and you know, unless you've, you know, like you're sort of like psychic, and you know what people want, and you know exactly how to sell it, and how to give it to them, which is quite rare. So, you know, that's why you need to have a sustainable sort of, you know, a sustainable source of income to start off with. And, you know, you can do whatever you want afterwards. You know, like I actually plan on, you know, stepping back and actually investing in real estate, in, you know, in stocks, shares, cryptocurrency, because that's what I'm interested in, you know, and it just helps, you know, diversify your income, because you don't want everything to be, you don't want everything to be in one basket. You don't want all your wealth to be in one basket. You know, like you don't want to have, like say $1 million cash in US currency, for example, because what will happen if we had World War III and the US currency collapses? You know, you're screwed. That's what happened with Greece. So when Greece collapsed, like they were running and they were buying gold, because, you know, gold is what represents wealth. But, you know, like
gold's universal. Yeah.
Yeah. But paper money is backed by the government. So what happens when the government collapses? The value goes to zero. So it goes back to the actual value, which is that of paper, which is pretty much worthless. So, you know, that's just something to think about. Like, you know, like if you've got a house that you own, it doesn't matter what really happens. You know, the house is still going to have value. And if it, you know, even if it goes to zero, you can live in it. You know, it provides shelter.
Exactly. So it offers some value, even if it's not monetary. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if you had, I don't know, like 1,000 bills there, you know, you can't eat it, and if the value goes to zero, you can't use it to exchange for services. You know, like you can look at it, and you know, so like I think what I really focus on is real wealth, like what, you know, like not currency, but actual real wealth. You know, what is that? Like, you know, stuff that you can actually, stuff that's timeless, you know, like gold, commodities, real estate, you know, like farmland, because people always need to eat, you know, like, you know, if you can, like if you can sort of control, I don't know, like some sort of water supply, like in, you know, Mad Max, you know, you'll be a fucking trillionaire in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, you know, just stuff like that, because I spend a lot of my time thinking about a whole bunch of things, and you know, like when you do that, you sort of start getting really good at seeing opportunity. So you know, like I saw that Messenger is going to be a great opportunity. So I saw that, you know, like if I focus on e-commerce, which is a massive industry, and an industry that's going to grow, because, you know,
it's still growing. It's still at such an early stage.
So I know that, okay, so either retail is going to become completely autonomous, like those, you know, those automated stores that you have for Amazon in the United States, or they're just going to disappear altogether. So it's going to go completely online. So I know that's going to happen.
There will always be a need for retail to a degree, but I certainly agree that a lot of it will be going online. Like you look at supermarkets that now have the automated checkouts and things like that. But I don't think we'd ever eradicate, you know, retail stores completely. There'll certainly be a shift. I mean, you look at a lot of retail stores now, like clothing stores, that they still have their physical stores and they've closed a few down nationally, but at the same time, they've then opened up an e-com store.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of it is shifting online or through automation. So I completely agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you know, online is, you can reach everyone. So like I'm able to reach people that are in the United States, and sell my products. You know, I'm able to, you know, reach people from like Brazil or the UK, and you know, the amount of freedom that you're able to have with e-commerce is huge. So, you know, like at the moment, it's, you know, it's at least $1 trillion industry, and you know, like if you wanted to make $1 million a year, that's just a drop in the ocean for an industry that big. So, you know, like if like for me, I saw that it was very beneficial to actually become an expert in an industry that's so big, that's going to experience so much growth. Because I know that like when people realize how big it is, how big an opportunity it is, how valuable it is to be an expert, everyone's going to jump on and try to become an expert. But the people that saw the opportunity early will already be an expert. So, you know, like you won't be competing with like 100,000 people, like 50 million people that are all trying to become, you know, Facebook experts or Instagram experts or Messenger experts. You know, you're already going to be established. It's like, you know, it's like people trying to compete with Amazon. You know what I mean? Like, you can't, because they already know the ins and outs of it. They've already got the authority, the credibility. So,
well, that's it. You know, Amazon saw the opportunity there, and it's about identifying trends. So, you know, those that are in, you know, Facebook ads, but they were there in the beginning, it's because they identified that trend early on.
100%.
Whereas now, you know, some are just getting started, you know, which is fantastic. But for those that may get started in a few years, depending on how the industry goes, you know, they might be behind the 8 ball. There's always like, you know, 1,000 different trends, but it's about figuring out which ones are going to grow the most. So, I mean, look at, say, Alibaba, for instance. When that went public, you know, that went $1 billion like overnight, pretty much, just for how fantastic the platform actually was. And I remember using Alibaba back in high school, you know, before anyone knew what it was. So using it to facilitate, you know, selling sunglasses on eBay during high school, I mean, that was, and, you know, in my early 20s, that was, you know, before the trend had set, which is fantastic. But now if I tried to do that, the amount of people selling sunglasses or T-shirts or whatever on eBay through, you know, using Alibaba is just too saturated. So, you know, you really are behind the 8 ball in that regard.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, and there's a really powerful advantage to be able to do something first. So, you know, like the iPhone, for example, you know, I mean, like the first, you know, completely touch phone, you know, like stuff like that. And, you know, like people can copy them, you know, like they can, you know, Samsung can bring out a touch phone, or, you know, Sony can bring out a touch phone, but people will always remember the first. It's like the first man on the moon, first man on Mars, for example.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Very, very small scale. Let's use this podcast as an example. You know, I know a lot of entrepreneurs and podcast owners are doing, you know, maybe a weekly interview or, you know, bi-weekly, that sort of thing. But I don't know anyone that's doing a daily or almost daily Facebook Live interview, you know, with entrepreneurs from around the world. So a very small scale. Here's one example where, you know, we're now setting the precedent for a new type of podcast.
Yeah, and I think it's actually an awesome idea, because then, you know, you get so much content out, so much valuable content. And you get, you know, like it just means that you also get a lot of reach, and you expand your network like crazy. So, like, if anything,
and that's why I did it. I just really wanted to learn from everyone. You know, I'm such an open book, and I try to be as open-minded as possible with everything. And if I don't agree with someone's point of view, I'll still respect their point of view, because, you know, we've all gone through different things, but it's just a case of taking in all the information and then picking and choosing what you want to then utilize or leverage. So, you know, I think it's something that's going to be really good. And I appreciate you so much for being on the show. And for everyone that's listening in, thank you so much for investing your time and in being with us here today. You know, if you're on, you know, thank you so much for the live questions, Manon and everyone else. And for those on the replay, you know, if you're able to type in hashtag Team Arlet after replay, just so we know that you're here. So we know to keep doing these sort of podcasts to, you know, offer you value in this way. Because if the podcast isn't something that's creating value for others, then we can reinvest our time to offer you value in other ways, whether it's seminars like the hour one I did yesterday on Facebook group growth, or, you know, we can do blogs and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's really just about, growing your network as much as you can. And the most successful people are the ones that have massive networks. No one can do it on their own. So, even just doing this and Phuong, you being there, get out to, a handful of people, a few hundred people today is fantastic. Because it's all about afterwards on the replay. That's when the numbers really kick in. So, it's great to have you on the show today.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's very true that they say your network is your net worth, because what I've realized is business is all about relationships. Relationships with your customers, relationships with your partners, acquaintances, colleagues. You look at everything in life. It's all relationships. And what Jay Abraham said, which made a lot of sense, is the meaning of life is to build excellent relationships with the people around you, with the people that you're surrounded with. And you think about it, how can you be happy? You're happy by being surrounded by people that care about you, love you, that you want to be around. You imagine if you were the richest man in the world, but you had no one that cared about you, no one around you, you wouldn't be happy. There's no way you would find fulfillment, because you wouldn't have anything that you're grateful for. You wouldn't have anything to sort of look up, look forward to, be excited about. All you've got is power and money. So 100%, man, I agree there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Phuong, leading into with everything fantastic you've done so far, is there anything if for the listeners to get in touch with you for your services? Because this has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed our chat. We got to do this more often. For everyone listening at home, Phuong and I had a phone call the other day, and it ended up going for 2 hours just because we were just it got pretty deep just about different things, and it was a really enjoyable conversation. And I hope everyone's been enjoying this today, because there's been some awesome insight, not only in e-commerce, but just in general, just health and well-being, and that's been fantastic. So Phuong, for everyone listening in at home, if they are interested in e-commerce, how are they able to get in touch with you, so that way they can utilize and leverage your wealth of knowledge to be able to further improve their business?
Yeah, cool. So look, so I've got my Facebook page. So my business, my coaching business, is called Domain Dominance. So you can send a message to my page, and
I'll drop all your links below, man. That way everyone can just easily find it. More than happy for you to do that. So in this live, just share as many links as you've got. Hook us up.
Yeah, or you could just message me directly. So I do. Yeah, I do pay a lot of attention to Facebook, because it's the platform that I'm trying to master. Because at the moment Facebook's got 2 billion monthly users, and it's just going to keep growing. I think it will get to the point. Yeah, I think it will get to the point where everyone that's got access to the internet will be on Facebook. So, just another reason to actually jump on and become a master in Facebook. And be able to give value to people in some sort of way. Whether it be, how to expand their presence, or build their brand, or get them more sales, because I'll finish up with something when you're actually building a business, focus on the fundamentals, and then focus on the key skills that you would, that you want to acquire. So for me, I want to, become a master in, in systems, marketing, and sales, because what is marketing? Marketing gets, marketing is putting your products and services in front of people, and then sales is what converts them and generates you money, and then systems is how you automate it. So, that's why I focus on the fundamentals, because what I this is how I felt about a month ago, and it was I don't know anything. I don't feel like I understand what I'm doing, and it was because everything was segmented. I knew how to run conversion ads, for example. I knew how to run traffic ads. I knew about engagement and creating lookalike audiences and custom audiences, and I knew all these sorts of things, but I didn't actually. I never lined it up. So I never lined it up and put all the pieces together. So that's what I've been trying to do for the last 6 to 8 weeks, and and really just focusing on what's actually going on, what's it all about. So for example, everyone's heard about the Facebook algorithm. Everyone's heard about it, but no one knows what it is. No one actually understands what it is. They just know it as the Facebook algorithm. So, I actually so I went really deep into it, and what I found out is it's an AI capable of machine learning. So what does that mean? So it's essentially an AI that will record everything, that will interpret everything, and then it will take the data and extrapolate it. So for example, you imagine like my e-commerce store as a physical location with its doors wide open, and like a group of people outside. So let's just say they're wearing different colored t-shirts, for example, to make it simple. So my audience could be those people, and then what the algorithm will do is sit there and watch and see, okay, so who actually goes into the store. It will look at who goes into the store, who goes in and actually buys something, who goes in and pick something up or don't buy. And what it can then do is look at the characteristics of each person, using like over 200,000 data points, in the Facebook algorithm, and extrapolate that. So if it turns out that my ideal customer is a 25-year-old woman that likes jewelry, and she her favorite color is red, and she happens to live in New York and all that sort of stuff, the algorithm will learn that. So it didn't know anything. So it didn't know anything when you first launched a campaign, and now it's learned it. So that's what machine learning is all about. And it's actually really interesting because like you sort of realize how smart Facebook is and how smart the algorithm actually is. And
they had to shut one point of it down. Sort of cut you off there, but the language, they realized that the AI was starting to learn its own language, because to us it was gibberish. But when it would say certain keywords, other parts of the program would pick that up, and then they started communicating. So they had to shut that down for further research, just because they didn't want to get it out of hand.
Yeah, 100%, man. And like if I can give anyone like a gold nugget, it's understand the environment you're playing in, the environment you're operating in. So if you're on Facebook, if you're doing Facebook ads for a local business, for example, like seriously, get really, really deep into the platform, like what it does, how it works, what's the algorithm, what actually happens when you select a certain objective, how does Facebook go and find people and convert them? So like you run a conversion ad, like what actually happens if you create a custom audience, what it was actually doing, and just go really, really deep into that, because like if you don't understand what sort of playground that you're playing in, what sort of environment you're operating in, you will never become an expert. Like you won't become an expert, guaranteed. Like why is Bill Gates so successful? Because he understands his company, his software, his environment better than anyone else. Better than anyone else. Like that's why he's one of the richest men in the world for many years now. So and understand, like they say knowledge is power. I say understanding is power. Like if you understand, like to give you a good example, okay, so as men we're terrified of rejection from women. So like what if I told you that the person that you're interested in, her favorite color is red, she likes watching movies like Titanic, if you flatter her about her eyes, she's gonna fall in love with you and all that sort of stuff. If I told you everything about what you need to do, like do you think you would be able to do it? Of course,
like you just apply it, of course. Yeah.
So like understanding is really, really powerful. So like aim for understanding. Like don't just like take things for what they are. It's like, well, go really deep in it. It's like what the hell is the Facebook algorithm? Like what is this? What is this sorcery? What is this magic that everyone talks about, that no one actually ever understands? No one actually ever talks about it. And what happens behind closed doors? Like what happens when you give Facebook your money and they run ads for you? Like how they actually go find people for you, and all kinds of different stuff. And like that's probably one of the most powerful things in business, because and you look at all the successful businesses, they know everything. They know about what they're planning, about what they're doing, what sort of environment they're operating in. They know everything about their customers. They know what their products are all about, what sort of positioning to have, how to sell it, and all that sort of stuff. And you just look at, the brilliant brands like Coke. They strategically place Coke in movies, and then subconsciously we see that and we think that should be a nice drink because it's in that movie. If you're a big fan of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, well, that's how
yeah.
I was just going to say that's how the soap shows came about back in what was like the 40s or 50s or whatever, just because the cleaning companies wanted their product shown, so they started these shows that they knew the women, while the men were away at war, these women would watch these shows, and it would basically showcase their brands. And if you can strategically market in such a way that it's kind of under the radar, then it's going to work so much better than just saying, buy this can of soup, because that type of marketing is now just gone. It just isn't helpful anymore because the amount of information that's out there. So that's some really good insight, Phuong, for sure.
So on that topic, like what I've realized is the waving your hands and saying buy this does not work anymore. People actually hate it. So, you've probably heard that people love buying. People love to spend money and buy and, get.
They hate to be sold to.
But they hate to be sold to.
Yeah.
So how do you actually do that? You do it subconsciously and not in a manipulative or, shady sort of way. You just, you just learn about how the brain works, the psychology behind buying, and then you subconsciously sell to them. So the most powerful way to market and sell to someone is to get them to say to themselves, I need this. This is what I want. This is what I've been looking for. Craft your message in such a way where, you have your customer selling to you. It's like, how can I buy this? How can I get my hands on this? That's what the most successful companies do. They don't say, this is like, for example, Apple, they don't say, this is the new iPhone. It's awesome. You should buy it. They don't say that at all. They say how great it is. They say how different it is, how well designed it is. And then subconsciously you sort of realize that this is the best phone on the market, for example. So, they say, for example, they say like, it's got face recognition. It's got a 5-inch screen. And then subconsciously you're comparing that to what's currently out there, like the Sony phones, the Samsung phones. And then you're like, I need this. Apart from the aesthetics and what it looks like, it's like, man, I really need this phone. I don't know why, but I really want this phone now. And that's and that's really, really powerful selling. And that's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah. No, awesome. That's really good. Oh, Phuong. So this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a lot of fun and a lot of insight as well. So you were saying, so with your businesses there, so you've got a few links for us that you can post below. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So for us to be in contact with you, so Facebook Messenger, as well as go on your Facebook page, Domain Dominance. Is there any other offers or anything else that you're able to share with us today or post below?
Offers?
Not offers. In regards to like your service, I mean, yeah.
Well, at the moment, all I'm doing is, I believe in simplicity. I'm a minimalist. So at the moment, all I'm doing is, like running an e-commerce store and then coaching people on how to actually do that. Because I've got a marketing background. I've committed a lot to business, and like what I've realized is that a lot of people that are running businesses don't actually understand the core business. So, I guess in a way it's my moral obligation to actually share share the right information, because 99% of businesses don't make it. So 95% disappear, fail. Those people, they sort of like give up, and then 5% actually make some sort of money, some sort of significant money, and then the 1% are the ones that are successful. And those are really shitty stats.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's really stupid. Because
absolutely.
Ourselves, being business owners, we believe that the world's going to change because of entrepreneurs, business owners, providing value to people. and like if only 1% or 5% of people actually succeed, like when are we gonna get to the point where, we've got I don't know, like for example, we've got like hover cars, for example, we got, teleportation, like it just means that we're sort of delaying our evolution, we're delaying our progress. So, like and that, I think that's why thought leaders are so like they're focused on motivation, because like in actual reality, your greatest challenge is yourself. Like
Yep.
that's why I'm so focused on personal development, because like if you want to find your biggest challenge in life and in business, seriously look in the mirror. Like that's it. It's not your competition, it's not your lack of skill, it's not it's not who you are or whatever. It's your mind. It's your mind. It's your mind going into survival mode. When there's resistance, you sort of run away from it, because back in the caveman days, when there was resistance, it's usually because a saber tooth is chasing you, or like or it's dangerous or whatever. So like if you can conquer yourself, you'll be able to conquer the world. You'll be able to conquer anything. And like as I don't know, like you really have to sort of do it to believe it. But like if you can conquer yourself, like think about it this way: if you procrastinated every single time you made a decision, if you put off everything, like for an hour, for a day, for a minute or whatever, how's that going to affect your life? Like it's just going to delay everything. Like whether it be a minute at a time, or a day at a time, or an hour at a time. But then, what if you were able to make a decision right away, like snap your fingers and you go and build your business, or you go and launch a new marketing campaign, or you make that phone call to that colleague, or to that lead or whatever, and get that sale, and that's that's how you succeed. Like you look at all the successful people. It comes down to habits. It's like, these people, they do what matters every single day, and they put in safety measures to stop them from procrastinating, to stop them from taking the easy way out. And what I learned from Tim Ferriss is, like, everyone experiences it. Everyone procrastinates. Everyone has their days where they're just like, no way, screw this. I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to do it right now. And what I really like about Tim is that he's so real. He was saying when he was writing his book, one of his books, he was saying, I would procrastinate. I would watch porn. I would, go for walks. I would get really anxious and depressed, and I would feel like a failure, and I would hide in bed and all that sort of stuff. And like that, for one, makes him very real and makes him very relatable. And it makes you realize that it's normal. It's okay to feel like crap. It's okay to procrastinate. It's okay to, want the easy way out. It's okay to, want to do easy things and not hard things, and not face your problems. But, like sometimes, most of the time you don't have to deal with your problems. Like most of the time, the things that don't matter, you don't have to deal with. So, it's, for example, it's like a hater hating you. Like if you got some haters that are writing mean comments about you, that sort of stuff doesn't matter. Like you're always going to have people that aren't going to like you. But for example, if I don't know, like if there was a misunderstanding between my wife and I, that's something that matters, and I need to face it. Like otherwise my marriage would dissolve, and I'll be miserable, and I'll lose half my stuff, and I'll go backwards horribly. So like if you can do anything this year, like work on your habits, like work on yourself and your habits, your skills, of course. But if you can improve your habits, like even 5 or 10%, like it could be something simple, like getting out of bed at the right time every day, for the whole year, like whether it be 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, it could be something simple like that. So what I did this morning was I got up at 4 a.m. I had a cold shower, and that woke me up, and I had my morning ritual, and I started working. I started doing,
Yep.
I started the day essentially, and like when you're able to do that, it's really really easy to be successful. Like if you think about it, from 4 o'clock to about 8 o'clock, it is 4 hours. So the amount of stuff you can get done before people even wake up, before people even start their day. So, before I even like had breakfast, like before people that are getting up like at 7 o'clock and they're brushing their teeth and they're having breakfast at 8 o'clock, they haven't even done anything yet. So, like the level of motivation and confidence that you have in yourself goes through the roof. Like this morning you've already done like an hour of reading. You've already, like watched a webinar. You've already done some research to find some products to sell. Like maybe you already designed a Facebook campaign and already launched it. You're gonna feel so fulfilled, so accomplished, and
Definitely.
And it just means that, like, so like if you work from 4 to 4 for 12 hours, you can then enjoy your life. You can then spend time with your partner from 6 till 10 or whatever, and
Exactly.
It just means that you can get so much more out of life. And like all you really need is just one day a week where you can sleep in and just relax. For me it's Sunday, so like that's my recovery day. I just sleep, and it just gives you a nice reset button. You can't go
Sundays
hard.
Are good for that.
Yeah. So like you can't go hard 20 hours a week, 20 hours a day for 365 days a year. You can, but it's not sustainable. So
of course, it will run you down.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It will destroy you.
Yeah. All right, Phuong, no, this has been so much fun. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Like it's been, as usual, it's been a fantastic chat. I think everyone at home's gotten some really valuable insight from today. So, thank you so much for being on the show. And everyone at home, thanks so much for investing your time with us here today. Phuong, absolute pleasure having you on. I really appreciate you coming on today. So thank you so much. If you're able to drop those links below for us, and that way everyone get in contact with you for your help, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, 100%, man. Thanks. Like I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. We'll do this again soon because this has been really fun. So thank you, and everyone at home, if you are on the replay, we'd love to hear from you just to make sure that you've gotten value from this, so we know to continue to doing the podcast.